When America was a British colony in the 18th century, all settlers brought with them the traditional British system of measurement. These customs were largely local, medieval, and often inconsistent. Founding fathers like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson immediately recognized the need for a logical and uniform system of weights and measures. In 1790, Thomas Jefferson proposed a decimal-based system. However, the British customs were so deeply ingrained in society and commerce that making this radical change proved impossible. The modern metric system was born in France in the 1790s. Jefferson sent a delegation to France to acquire the standards. Unfortunately, the French vessel carrying the standards was captured by pirates before it reached the American coast, and all documentation was lost. This mishap effectively squandered America's first real chance to adopt the metric system. In 1832, the U.S. Treasury Department officially adopted a relatively uniform U.S. customary system. This was essentially a slightly modified version of the British imperial system. All customs houses and the government began using this method, which further cemented the public's traditional practices. In 1866, the American Congress passed the Metric Act, which legally permitted the use of the metric system in the United States. Crucially, this act did not mandate the system, only authorized its voluntary use. It was a historic half-step. In 1875, the United States was among the first 12 nations to sign the Global Metric Convention. This convention established the metric system as the internationally recognized standard of measurement. The U.S. signed the treaty, but failed to take significant steps toward internal adoption. In 1893, T.C. Mendenhall, the superintendent of the Office of Standard Weights and Measures, issued an order stating that all units used in the U.S. customary system, inches, pounds, would henceforth be defined based on their metric equivalents. In essence, the official definition of the American pound and inch was derived from the international kilogram and meter. Through this order, the U.S. became de facto, in effect, metric, but remained de jure, by law, customary. World wars and status quo. The need for rapid production of war material during World War I solidified the existing system. Factories were already accustomed to tools and molds based on the customary system. Changing the entire infrastructure during an emergency was deemed impossible, reinforcing the status quo. Cultural resistance. Americans began to view their customary units as the American system. Gallons, Fahrenheit, and pounds became ingrained in daily life. There was widespread public resistance to learning something new. Educators, retailers, and citizens argued, "What we have works. Why change?" Industrial cost. Major manufacturers in the automotive, construction, and other industries had invested billions of dollars in tools and machinery based on customary units. The cost of transitioning this entire infrastructure overnight was astronomical. Industrial lobbies vehemently opposed any mandatory metric change. President Gerald Ford took a significant step by signing the Metric Conversion Act of 1975. This established the United States Metric Board. Their goal was to transition America to the metric world through voluntary and coordinated change. The board made one critical mistake. It made the transition voluntary, not mandatory. The board failed to set deadlines or penalties. In 1982, President Ronald Reagan disbanded the board because it had failed to achieve any significant success. This event marked the practical end of American metrication efforts. Today, the U.S. operates under a peculiar mixed system. Science and medicine, almost completely metric, for example, millimeters, cc's. Manufacturing uses a dual system, some parts in inches, some in centimeters. Daily life, entirely customary: pounds, miles, gallons. A 1988 amendment mandated the federal government to prioritize the metric system in all new procurement and construction. However, this policy has had minimal impact on the general public. American metrication largely failed due to historical inertia, massive economic costs, and widespread public resistance. A system became so deeply entrenched that despite legal approval, reversing it proved nearly impossible. It stands as a testament to the limited power of law over a nation's customs and the status quo. Thanks for watching. Please comment and share. Stay healthy and stay well.